I have been typecasted to the point where it's almost impossible for people to see me doing something else. You're no longer allowed to act because you did that one so well that we can't see you as something else.
He showed up to my apartment and offered me $100 grand to take my clothes off. He said, I don't even need to touch you. I just want to see you.
Did they have some issue back in the day? And does he need a career revamp?
Actor and filmmaker Tyler Perry sued for $260 million.
Alfonso Ribeiro finally reveals everything Tyler Perry did to him, and he is not alone.
For 15 years, fans couldn't help but wonder why Alfonso Ribeiro never worked with Tyler Perry. He had the name, the talent, and he was definitely around. But still, no collaboration, no guest appearance, not even a quick cameo. Now, with new allegations surfacing about Perry, Alfonso's long-standing silence is starting to make a lot more sense.
Actor and filmmaker Tyler Perry sued for $260 million over allegations. The complaint filed in Los Angeles accuses Perry of creating a, quote, coercive exploitative dynamic with actor Derek Dixon.
Let's be clear, Alfonso never came out and directly accused Tyler Perry of anything. But when you start lining up his old comments with what other actors are now saying, the picture starts to shift. Silence doesn't always mean nothing happened. Sometimes it means someone never had the chance or the freedom to speak up. So what exactly did Alfonso say? It's important to remember, Alfonso Ribeiro had a solid career and recognition well before any of these claims, long before he became a meme or was mostly known from endless reruns. He created one of America's most recognizable television characters as Carlton Banks on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Not only a sidekick, he was. He was the heart of the show's comedy, bringing balance to Will Smith's charisma with sharp timing and physical humor that gave us one of pop culture's most iconic moments, the Carlton Dance.
It's not unusual to be in it.
But everything came to a stop once the show wrapped in 1996. Hollywood only saw Alfonso as Carlton, nothing more. The offers dried up because to casting directors and producers, he was just the goofy, clean-cut guy, not someone they could picture in serious roles or leading a blockbuster. And just like that, while still in his 20s, Alfonso was forced to try and restart a career that had flatlined the second his most recognized character left the screen, all thanks to being boxed in by typecasting.
For me, has always been that in terms of acting, most of the world can't get past Carlton.
To make matters worse, this career drought hit right in the early 2000s when Hollywood was beginning to shift, but not always in the right direction. Studios were leaning more toward flash than substance and hunting for the next trendy face. Behind the scenes, talk of gatekeepers controlling access was growing louder. That's where Tyler Perry comes into the picture. People close to Alfonso say that sometime in the mid to late 2000s, he genuinely tried to tap into the rising wave of black entertainment, especially the movement around Tyler Perry Studios. He was trying to find his place in it. Perry was getting up quickly at that point. He had acquired his own studio facility in Atlanta, developed a devoted fan base, and had more creative control than nearly every other person in black television. Perry's enterprise appeared to be a chance for an actor like Alfonso, who was marginalized and ready to reinvent himself. However, that collaboration never came to pass, and nobody truly knew why for years. He made no specific reference to Tyler Perry. However, the timing was too good to be true for those who were paying attention, particularly after Christian Key disclosed leaked text that revealed S propositions linked to casting chances. Alfonso Ribeiro no longer stood to gain anything by remaining silent, and his past cryptic texts suddenly read like warnings as more victims came forward to talk about quid pro quo power games, blackballing, and coercion.
He showed up to my apartment and offered me $100 grand to take my clothes off me. He said, I don't even need to touch you. I just want to see you.
The change in Alfonso's social media activity occurred around this time. His text got increasingly obscure, and his tone sharpened. One post has since been removed. Occasionally, the audition serves only as a prelude. Be mindful of who is actually observing. I also did not come here to compromise my honor. He never gave names. However, many started to wonder if Alfonso had been contacted in a similar situation and had just decided to leave after the Christian Key's revelations. Tyler Perry's supporters contend that because of his fame, he has become a target, and that performers who are upset about being passed over or ignored are searching for someone to place the blame on. Others, however, draw attention to the trend, pointing out that several young, handsome male actors have come forward with remarkably identical accounts of feeling forced or excluded after turning down Perry's purported approaches.
While Mr. Dixon was employed as a series regular on the Tyler Perry show, The Oval, while Mr. Perry held direct control over his employment, compensation, and creative opportunity, and he claims
the story is completely altered if Perry's studio was even partially a part of this society. Additionally, the concept of sacrificing his dignity for a role would have been unacceptable to someone like Alfonso Ribeiro, who spent years cultivating a tidy, family-friendly image. That could be the reason he never appeared on a Tyler Perry program, why he was never given a guest part, and why a well-known character from The Fresh Prince disappeared from black television while lesser-knowns dominated the scene. Sometimes the best proof that you passed the true test, one that had nothing to do with acting, is that you did not get the job. Furthermore, it appears that Alfonso saw the system for what it truly was as more information from the ongoing litigation becomes available. Actor Derek Dixon accused Tyler Perry of numerous instances of sexual misconduct in a shocking lawsuit he filed in Los Angeles Superior Court on June 14th, 2025. In addition to requesting $260 million in damages, the lawsuit describes a troubling pattern of alleged that began in 2019 and continued into 2021, with consequences extending beyond 2024. Targeting one of the most influential and seemingly untouchable black entertainment moguls, this lawsuit stands out in an industry already shaken by high-profile instances like those involving Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey.
that while he was asleep, Perry climbed into bed with him and tried to initiate. Dixon says he tried to distance himself from Perry, but he was offered a role on Perry's show, The Oval. This is what he said.
Dixon claims that this was the first time Perry had physically violated limits, and he thinks it set the tone for their future exchanges. According to reports, things had gotten worse by the time Dixon was chosen for Perry's well-known BET drama, The Oval. On the episode, Dixon was assigned the character Dale. The lawsuit claims that Perry started making flirty phone calls and sent S suggestive texts. According to Dixon, the text asked about his fantasies and S preferences. An already contentious issue has been further strained by these text screenshots, which have been circulated on social media and cited in articles by publications like Reuters, the Associated Press, and TMZ. It is crucial to remember that text messages can be altered, made up, or misinterpreted. Some of these texts were included in the lawsuit complaint, according to Reuters. What is it going to take for you to have guiltless S? Was purportedly one of them, a statement that would corroborate Dixon's allegations of S coercion if it were true. No straight man would be going on walks with you or making supper for you unless they wanted to F you. Perry allegedly told Dixon in messages that the Associated Press also referenced. I would give you an F. I would hope that you would allow someone to hug you and make love to you, according to another message. My friend, you are losing out on the greatest years of your life. More screenshots that were making the rounds on X were released by TMZ, one of which said, I feel so amazing, but I do not like being horny. The first person to flirt with me makes me feel bad. These texts depict growing S interest and a blurring of professional boundaries, even if they have not been independently verified. They seem to fit the pattern Dixon outlines in his lawsuit, a change from opportunity to pressure, from mentorship to manipulation. Reactions have been divided on social media. While some people doubt the text's legitimacy, others think they are incriminating. Anyway, let us get back to the court filings. Perry reportedly choked Dixon during a private altercation in March 2020.
Says that Perry told him. Dixon said that Perry told him, quote, that he liked being choked. That was after Dixon's character was choked by a cast member in a scene on The Oval. Perry also allegedly said, why do you twist your hips when you walk? How can I get a day of Dixon?
Another incident on the set of The Oval later that year involved Perry allegedly going into a trailer and touching Dixon's B. However, the most unsettling accusation surfaced in June 2021. Dixon claims he received another invitation to Perry's house in Atlanta. Dixon claims that Perry came into his room to bid him goodnight when he was staying at the guest house wearing nothing but his underwear. Dixon claims that after that, Perry pulled down his panties, grabbed his ass, and instructed him to calm down. By shifting the topic, Dixon says he was able to defuse the situation, but by then, he felt mentally cornered. According to the lawsuit, Mr. Perry warned Mr. Dixon that there would be consequences if he ignored his advances. "Your character dies if you disregard me," he stated bluntly. Perry's use of prospective deals as leverage is also detailed in the case. Dixon claims that Perry specifically promised to assist in producing the television show Losing It, which Dixon had written. The complaint claims that Perry said he would be willing to pay for the pilot, but only provided Dixon stayed faithful. Dixon now asserts that this was a deceptive strategy rather than a genuine opportunity. According to the lawsuit, Mr. Perry wanted an S relationship with a man who would not speak, which was the one thing his wealth and power could not buy. In June 2024, Dixon finally submitted an official complaint to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. He claims that because of Perry's conduct, he was given a PTSD diagnosis and eventually left the Oval because the psychological and emotional toll had become intolerable. Perry is not the only target of the lawsuit. Additionally, Dixon has identified TPS Production Services and Tyler Perry Studios as co-defendants. Perry is the sole one accused of the physical and verbal abuse, but the lawsuit also charges Perry's employer with negligent hiring, supervision, and retention. Dixon links Perry to other deceased entertainment industry leaders, including Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, Sean P. Diddy Combs, Kevin Spacey, Roger Ailes, and many more, in one of the complaint's most scathing sentences. According to the complaint, Mr. Perry's success has made him think that he can have anything he wants with money and power. The legal team for Tyler Perry has made a forceful response. Matthew Boyd, his lawyer, released a statement to the public. This is the same person who approached Tyler Perry for what now seems to be a simple scam setup. However, Tyler will not be deterred, and we are certain that these false accusations of S will not hold up. However, the issue is now public, and Perry might have to defend himself in court against the most serious accusations of his career, unless it is dismissed or handled confidentially. Anyway, more than 10 years have passed since Alfonso Ribeiro left the world of written television. Fans believed for years that he chose to host Family Life, or that he just did not want to be typecast again. However, something else was simmering beneath the stage smiles and game shows, because it is not always safe to be silent, especially in Hollywood. It is a tactic at times. The politics of celebrity are nothing new to Alfonso Ribeiro. He was locked in by a character that millions of people adored, but that few business insiders took seriously after Fresh Prince. He was wealthy because of his Carlton persona, but he was invisible in serious parts because of it. He soon realized that talent alone was insufficient when he began experimenting once more in the 2000s. Later, one of his close friends claimed that Alfonso seen what transpired behind the scenes at several studios, but decided to stay away from that setting. No scandal, no drama, simply a silent retreat. What important though is the why. In actuality, Alfonso probably kept quiet because he believed that speaking up would not be beneficial, or worse, might backfire. There was more to Tyler Perry than just another producer. By the 2010s, he was a billionaire, regarded as untouchable, and adored by major networks, BET, and Oprah. It would have been detrimental to his career to call him out, especially for someone who was already having trouble getting back into the spotlight. To be honest, black performers in Hollywood have rarely been allowed to express themselves openly, particularly when criticizing other influential black people. There is a genuine fear of being labeled as difficult, resentful, or envious. Even terrible is the prospect of total erasure. Alfonso left it ambiguous for that reason. Tweets that are encrypted, a clue or two, silently unfollows, a unwillingness to work together. Everything was present but coded, and the message went unnoticed for years. Now that receipts have been disclosed by Christian Keys, Derek Dixon has now launched a $260 million lawsuit claiming that Tyler Perry has subjected him to professional coercion and harassment. Alfonso's silence no longer appears to be one of indifference. It appears to be self-control and possibly self-preservation.
Is suing Tyler Perry, the individual, as well as his production studio. That studio is called TPS Production Services LLC. That stands for Tyler Perry Studios in Action LLC. And he is looking for $260 million.
With this new perspective, Alfonso's choice to not collaborate with Perry seems less like a lost chance and more like a subdued act of defiance. Even though he did not share specifics with the public, his decision to remain silent 15 years later is testimony in and of itself, leading many to question how many other performers left and why they never felt comfortable enough to explain their reasons. The industry pays little attention when actors like Christian Keys talk directly, but it starts to lift when actors like Alfonso Ribeiro speak indirectly. That was the case in 2021. Keys did not hold back while discussing the couch culture of casting that underlies some of Tyler Perry's productions.
Apartment and offered me 100 grand to take my clothes off me. He said, I don't even need to touch you. I just want to see me.
Keys' admission caused a chain reaction. Uncomfortably, his leaked communications and ambiguous allusions to coercion matched Alfonso's earlier claims. All of a sudden, the mysterious posts about getting kicked out, rejected, or penalized for not playing the game started to seem more sinister. Although their timelines overlapped, Alfonso and Christian are completely different actors. In the middle of the 2000s, both wanted to get back into the acting business. Both were black individuals who said that working in a studio inspired them, and everyone silently left in their own manner. Even though it has already been thoroughly examined, Derek Dixon's explosive complaint is just one more piece of evidence. When combined, these tales reveal a trend. Instead of seeking chances, young black male performers discovered barriers they were unwilling to cross. One text or one occurrence is not the focus of this. The subtle pressure, the cumulative effect, the jokes that were not jokes, and the suggestions that were not suggestions are all important. These miscommunications were not isolated. Under the pretense of benevolence, there were power dynamics. What did not happen could be the most damning thing for stars like Alfonso Ribeiro. No part for Tyler Perry, no appearances in crossover. In a system that was supposed to foster black talent, not even a cameo. In hindsight, such absence speaks volumes. A picture starts to take shape when you contrast that with Keys' outright denial of Perry's overtures, or the terrifying allegations that are currently making their way into court cases. One that gives the impression that Alfonso's protracted quiet was not only rational, but also calculated, and perhaps that is why he is speaking at last. Not at a news conference, please. In an expose, no, but by allowing others to make the connections he has been subtly making for more than 10 years. What once felt like resentment now feels like a limit. Perhaps he did not have to, but he did not provide identities in a candid interview, because his silent unwillingness to participate might have been the most powerful message of all in a field where silence is sometimes interpreted as weakness. Alfonso left something that millions of performers aspired to, while others sought attention, all because of what he probably saw behind the scenes. He was never loud or dramatic, but his choices, the places he avoided, and the small things he did say all reveal something about him, a tale of setting limits and prioritizing honor above bargains. Alfonso's previous decisions suddenly seem less like career detours and more like warnings that we all overlooked as lawsuits pile up and testimonials from previously silent performers start to come to light, because the folks who left quietly are frequently the ones we should have listened to all along when the truth finally comes out. Anyway, everyone, that concludes this video. Goodbye.